So guys, my name is Amit. I've been a part of Moolya for about 5 years now. And in this time span, I've worked as a software tester for Moolya. I've done sales and marketing for Moolya, so I understand my customers. I've also led a team of testers in the last project that I was working with in the space of testing. And then right now, I'm the person responsible for all fulfillments in the company. So our customers have needs for people, for talent, and I'm the person responsible to find the right talent both internally and externally to be able to help them. So that's a brief of what I do. I'll take you guys quickly through what is my understanding of hiring. We have been hiring. I've been helping the company hire for the last 4 months now, and we have released quite a good number of offer letters. Um, we did struggle when we started. So when I started the team, because I had to find the right talent, I had to find first of all good profiles, schedule, and everything. So it was difficult. We slowly built a team, and right now I believe we have a good understanding of what type of people we are looking, what skill sets we are looking for, who do we hire, who do we not hire. And in this session, I'll try to take you guys through uh, what all different skill sets we are looking for somebody. And also, I'll tell you what would I do if I was a software tester in the industry and I was looking for a job. So I'll give you both those details, and then let's see how it goes. I'll try to keep an eye over the chat section. So if you guys write something, I'll go check there. We'll do a Q&A session as well towards the end of this discussion. Uh, I'm thinking it will go about 30 to 40 minutes from now. So we have about 40 participants. Let's start and see how it goes. Uh, Good. So hiring managers and testers, what are we looking for? Created by me on 9th of April. So I have created a mind map. I hope a lot of you guys would know what mind map is. Mind maps are very important for software testers. So if you are a software tester, you should definitely know about a mind map. I mean, that's like ground zero. It begins at that point. Um, So this is the mind map I was talking about. So a mind map is actually a place you can use it to visualize a complex thing. For example, if there are a couple guys who are not muted, I'll try to mute them. I think most of the guys are on mute, so we'll continue. So yes, this is the mind map that I worked on. Mind maps are actually tools which you can use to spread out, to visualize a complex process, product, learning. I wish I knew about mind maps while I was in school, college. If I had known it by then, it would have helped me a lot in my learnings. So no problem. It helps me now. Um, this is something that I created for what if so this is something that came to my mind. If I have to give it to somebody, tell them these are the skill sets that I look at if you are uh, if you are submitting your profile for Moolya. And I think these are something if that should be there for any other person, if for any other company you go to, for any other role you are in. I believe this should help. So in Moolya, when we do interviews, we have about 3 to 4 rounds. So we start with a telephonic round. We check for how the person is, whether he's a genuine person or not, and other things. And then we take the person through to two more face-to-face technical rounds. So where the discussion is more tech related, but at the same time, we make sure that we are looking at a cultural fitment of the person as well. We're looking, see, what is an interview? An interview is a place where two people talk to each other to understand that each one of them can work with each other or not. Uh, we in Moolya do not believe in the concept of rejection or acceptance uh, because we are nobody to approve on you, we're nobody to reject on you. We just look if you and I could work together and be able to provide value to the final product or the company or to people that we are all working with. And for that to happen, it is very important that I feel safe and comfortable with you, that I feel respectable with you. And it goes the same way. The other person should also feel the same things with me. So that's one of the core things, very important, that they should be there. See, tech skills can be taught, but if a person is, if a person does not have the basic person to person interpersonal skills, then it is very difficult, because those are a few things which cannot be taught. So along with those, when we start interviewing people, we look at, as so I created an A to Z of a tester. I could not find anything for X, so I said A to Z minus X of a tester. I hope this sort of mind map will help people. We'll see if we can put it out on one of our social media channels, and could be of help to other guys. Not sure. I just created it today. Let's see. Let's see in the discussion. So I'll take you guys through what I mean by all these, and then we'll go on to the next set of things. So what I meant by A for ambition is whether you are a tester, developer, whether you have a shop, whether you are a vendor, whether you are in the space of consultancies, whether you provide advisories to CXOs, uh, whether you do anything in life. When we interview people, or when I believe anybody would be interviewing people, they are looking for ambitious people, because people who are ambitious, they go beyond the call of duty. They go beyond what is expected of them, and then they deliver it accordingly. So we are always on the lookout of people who are high on ambition. uh, so when we do talk to some, I know that in a lot of interviews people ask, so what do you want to do 5 years down the line, what do you want to do 3 years down the line. We don't do those sort of questions, but I tend to ask people, what are the areas that you want to learn, what are the areas that you want to excel at, and how will Moolya be able to help you achieve those. So that's the question that I use normally to in order to find out what's, if other person is ambitious, what does the other person want to do going forward, and then also want to know from his side, how will we be able to help, what expectations does he has from us. So that's one. uh, Second is B for business. So why are we all in the space of testing, or why are we all in the space of IT, why are we in the space of, even from home, even in such a situation we are all still working, because at the end of the day, all of us need to come together to make sure that business keeps on running. As long as the business runs, we are there to help it. So we and business are mutually important to each other. We are there because the business is there because we are. So at the end of the day, it's very important for a tester to have a business sense. If I'm testing even a keyboard, I should know who's my user base is, what sort of business it is going to bring. Now, business as a word is not just connected to monetary compensation. It is connected. So even if I'm getting a good PR, that's a business. Even if I'm getting even if I'm able to help somebody, I'm able to add value in any form, not just in monetary form. If I'm able to add value in any form, that is business. So every tester we hire, we want to make sure that the person has business sense. When we ask them about, okay, how will you test an application, let's say for example book my show, so I would want the person to tell me ideas that are more business related. So for example, for a company like book my show, what is the main source of income? Movie tickets to plays, tickets to events. So the main area so whenever somebody asks you to test an application, right, don't just start writing testing the application, but from your own perspective, try to find out what are the most important areas that you can write ideas for, or you can test for. So I believe business is one of the most important area. People, all of us testers should have good business sense. We should look at business as an as the driving force behind our testing. So all our test ideas, all our test efforts, every effort that we put, we need to make sure that it adds the most value to the business. At the end of the day, that's what makes sense. That's what most important is. Next thing is C for commitment and C for communication. You guys would already know, when we hire people, when we hire testers, or anybody in the space hires testers, communication is of the most importance. With communication, I don't mean the language English, I mean communication. So communication has got multiple things. It has got gestures, it has got expressions, it has got instincts. So when you, it has got gut feeling. When you are talking to somebody, what type of energy you are giving out, what type of vibes you are giving out. Are you making them feel comfortable? Are you threatening them? Are you being too bold? Are you being respectful or not? So a lot of these things, your entire body language, that is communication. So right now we've been doing these interviews online, all hangout calls, all telephonic, let's say face-to-face ones, culture rounds, managerial rounds. Everything is right now happening on hangouts or on Zoom calls or on Skypes. And but it is still very important that your body language on a call is also very professional, is also very helpful. So I've had a few calls where the other person was not properly dressed. The other person had just woken up from sleep for the online interview. Those are not the right things to do. See, when you are, even if you're not meeting me face to face, or even if you're not meeting your interviewer face to face, it is still very important that you dress right. It is very important that you're in a right sense of mind, that you're in the right uh, it actually comes down to saying how committed you are to that discussion. So that's why I have the word commitment there as well. When we do talk to people, we look for commitment. So I think I'll have to stop using the word when we look for people. I need to say when hiring managers look for testers. So whenever those guys look for people, they want to see commitment. Commitment is not, so we've seen people who say, I stay in office. Office is my home. I stay entire day. I can work this. I can. So it's good. It's good that the person is committed, but we want to make sure that there's a commitment to work. There's no. It's not an obsession with work. So there's a fine difference there. However, I'll touch that point on a later W for work-life balance. I'll go quickly because these are too many alphabets and we need to go quickly. There are a few things to cover after these as well. So then we have D for dare, detailed discussion. So courageous people. See, in testing, there are two types. There are two types of times that we have in our professional space. One is there are two kinds of life that we can live in the professional space. One is calmly. We don't say anything, whether even if things are going wrong, we don't reach out to people. We let it be, because if we will reach out to people, we'll have to explain to them what is wrong, right? We'll have to fight with them. We'll have to tell them, hey, this is not happening right. And at a lot of times I've seen us as testers, we're not sure. uh, Sometimes we don't have enough information. Sometimes we're not as uh, sometimes we may have got the wrong understanding of the product. So sometimes, and a lot of times, it so happens that we are not sure whether we should take this bug or this event on the platform to a dev, to a product manager or not. And in those times, we can do two things. One is either we stay calm, let it be. If it's a bug, it will come back tomorrow and we'll say, I didn't know about it. Or the second thing is we fight about it. So if we fight about it, that requires courage. That requires somebody to stand up and say, sir, this is wrong. The other person will fight about it. No, this is how it was written on the product. You have to tell them, okay, this is the logic that I have in my mind. This is why it does not sit with my business. This is why it does not sit with the product. This is why it will not sit with the user base we have. And those are the difficult discussions. Those are difficult communications that we have to do with a lot of people. And that is not possible if we are not courageous enough. We have to take those calls a lot of times. So as I said, right, uh, we can either have a profession which is full of storms and we pass through those storms, or we can have a profession where we can stay silent and let it be. We could be like, okay, that's okay. I mean, it's a corner case. Not many people will find it. If somebody finds it, we can always say, nobody else saw about it. So those are the two ways you can go. But we would more like we would like to have people who are more daring, have more courage, and can call it out. Detail is eye for detail. So even if you're testing UI, you can do a lot of things on the UI. Even if you're looking just for UX, you can do a lot of things in UX. So an eye for detail is very important. Even if it's just a logo, whether the logo should be there, should not be there, whether the pixels are right, whether the color combination is right, whether it sits in line with our other logos on our website, whether it sits in line with the uh, you know good practices of a logo, whether it has too much content, whether it has too less content, whether the design fits fine for the type of messaging that I want to give, whether it sits fine with that kind of customer base I have. So a lot of things can happen there. So eye for detail. So that's for D. And then discussion is constantly having discussions with your stakeholders. Could be product people, could be dev people, could be fellow testers. 100% very much important to have constant discussions with your fellow testers. That's one important way to go forward. Then we have E for enthusiasm. All our testers, whoever we hire, we want to see enthusiastic people. Because see, enthusiasm is like the virus. It's if I have somebody along with me who's very enthusiastic, I'll get some part of it. I'll be enthusiastic as well. As long as people are enthusiastic, as long as they're energetic, they want to do things, they want to go beyond. Obviously, this does not mean that we need to find extrovert people. Even introverts, it's actually not about extroverts or introverts. It's about how enthusiastic a person is towards his work, towards his his deliverables, whatever he's working on, whatever he's been asked to work on. So that's the sort of enthusiasm we look. So for example, I spoke of so many ideas on just the logo, right? That's my enthusiasm towards it. So when we talk to people and we give them something to talk about, we give them a topic to talk about, we prepare for a minute and talk about it, or write test ideas on this thing. So we want to see their enthusiasm towards it. How enthusiastic are they towards making that happen? So that's one. So then I have with me, next thing is F is finite testing. So at a couple places on this mind map, you will see that I just have added a few things because I could not find a lot of, I couldn't find the exact thing that should go there. So this is finite testing is one of those things. 100% we want people to have finite testing. See, it is very important, for us that anybody who's a part of the company enjoys software testing as a profession, as a work. If you don't enjoy software testing, um, probably this is not the right place, is what we think. So that's why fun at testing. You should be enjoying your life while you are testing it. So that's very important. G is Gary V at testing. So this is similar to how F was, where I couldn't find a word, so I added a few things. So if I'm not sure if how many of you guys know Gary V. Gary V is a motivational speaker, sort of. He's a businessman as well. He speaks about a lot of things, and most of his content that goes out on social media, LinkedIn, and everything is a minute long, 2 minutes long. Uh, Somebody wrote something to me in chat, and I thought, how do you differentiate enthusiasm? Sunil wrote, how do we differentiate enthusiasm with commitment? Sunil, I'll come back on this towards our Q&A session towards the end of this discussion. Thanks for bringing it up. I'll try to cover it then. So yeah, I'll go back to being speaking about Gary Vee. So yeah, he's a motivational speaker. I tend to listen to him. The reason I wrote Gary Vee at testing is the sort of passion he has, the sort of uh, energy he has when he talks about business, the sort of um, love he has for business, for making decisions, for getting things done. That's amazing. So that is something that I would. So if I have somebody in my interview room and I'm talking to him, and he goes ballistic about how what all things he has done in testing. He uses his hands. There's a rhythm in his voice. He increases it, decreases it. He's happy talking about it. So those are some things that will make me very happy, and that will make me think, okay, this is a person that I should talk further to. So those that's what I meant by Gary Vee at testing. H is for honesty, 100%. Testers needs to be honest about what work they're doing. You know, honesty towards their work, honesty towards whatever they have done. If they have missed something, they have missed something. They shouldn't. It shouldn't be an embarrassment. Actually, this also comes from the management as well. What types of metrics the management has set for testers? If the management has set metrics like, if you lose one bug, I'll reduce 1,000 rupees from your salary. So if those are the sort of things happening, probably honesty will be very difficult. So it also depends upon how the management is, how the leadership is in your space. And but 100%, whether whatever they are, it's not an excuse for being dishonest. Very important. If you have missed something, you have missed something for whatever reason, you have missed something, owning it up and then making sure that those sort of things doesn't happen again. So a learning mechanism that comes after it. That's very important. The next is influence. Very important for testers to have the skill of influence. If you're not able to influence your stakeholders, if you're not able to influence your dev, if you're not able to influence product people, the work that you have done, it's lost. So many times it has so happened that in my time in testing, I found something. It's not written in requirement, but I think it will be a great value add to my customers. It will be a great value add to my users. I tend to go forward and talk about it at length. They would ask for questions. They would ask for logics. They would ask why not the other feature? Why not this feature? Very important to have the skill set of influence. Uh, if you have been doing good work, you will create that influence. People will want to listen to you. People will want to hear you. People will want to implement what you're suggesting. Uh, if you're writing blogs, if you're doing videos on YouTube, if you're writing articles, if you're talking about testing, if you're learning about new places in testing, if you're giving out good improvements in your product, you develop that influence over people, and that goes a long way. That goes a long way. Even if tomorrow you would make a mistake, people will not look at it as a mistake. You will have influenced them so nicely that every time you bring even a small thing, they will accept it. They would want to accept it. So building influence for a tester is very important. J for judgment is, so as I said, right, there are two places a testers can find out how to live life in the profession of testing, whether you can keep fighting about things or whether you can keep calm. However, it's not about taking one of the two choices. You need not fight. You need not take up all the fights that you have. You need to have a judgment of what fights I want to fight and what fights I can let it be, because you cannot win all the fights, right? So you have to find out what will add the most value, what is worth enough for a fight. So accordingly, you take a call and accordingly make the judgment. So then K is for cool-headed. You have to be calm, cool. L is for leadership, learnability. So we have been doing a lot of videos in the space of leadership in testing. So very important, so leadership is, if you will see through a lot of our videos, you will see things about how leadership is about giving enough space to our people, how leadership is about um, you know not micromanaging, how leadership is about providing freedom, having a continuous set of communication. So these are all the things that we look for when people come to join us. So we'll see if they see when we normally talk to people beyond 5 years of experience, we look for leadership a lot. We look for people skills a lot. We want to make sure that this person will go on to become a lead tomorrow, will be leading a group of people. Does he has enough empathy for other guys? Does he has enough patience, calmness? Will he be able to work with a team? Will he be able to communicate with the customer? Will he be able to mentor his team? Will he be able to provide learnings to his team? So leadership is very important. So that's also something that we look for. Learnability, same as the above. Learnability. Continuous learning, continuous set of learning. So we do tend to ask people what are the different ways they learn from. It could be blogs, it could be videos, it could be pair test sessions with other testers. It could be multiple things. So continuous learnability is one of the other areas that we look for. Management, marketing, you should be doing a self marketing. You should be writing on So I look, when we do final rounds of discussion, we look at LinkedIn profiles. We try to see what the person has been doing, what has been he been writing about. So that's actually one important area. Management is about how you are managing your time, how you are managing your team, how are you managing your work. Could be any of those sort. And as for niche and nonsense or noise identification. So in testing, I believe what's happening is a lot of us are doing the same sort of work. Um, there are if there are 10 different technologies, um, it's very difficult to find person in niche areas. For example, business intelligence, Salesforce, or Hybris, SAP Hybris, or so niche areas. So I believe testers need to find niche areas and work there, get that understanding, and when probably in interviews show that skill set as well. The next one was noise identification. A lot of time in testing, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise around you. Um, we tend to deviate from what exactly is needed uh, in testing, and we tend to talk about other things. This happens a lot in interviews as well. When we ask for, okay, how would you test WhatsApp, people will go into status, people will go into call, people will go into I write message, the other person should receive message. But I would want to look at you reducing the noise and then going to a pinpoint area, first of all asking me what exactly I want you to test there, and then testing that area. Even in our products, while we are testing as well, we tend to deviate because of the noise around. We lose sight of the main question, we lose sight of the main place that we want to reach, but we start going in deviation and then we lose time and then all those things. So it is very important when I look for people, I look if they have this noise identification, whether they can get through the noise and get through to the main objective that they have in mind. O is opportunity and operability. So, how's your, so we tend to ask, what do you do on a normal day? How's a normal day like? Uh, how do you operate? How do you go about your day? So this is actually one good place for somebody to talk about what they want us to question next. So for example, when you're in an interview and you know of certain things, and if a question like this comes, you need to use that opportunity and deviate the discussion towards areas that you are more comfortable at. So that's and as part of testing, it is very important that when how your normal day is, how do you operate on a normal day, what sort of different discussions do you have with different people, and if you can talk about it in an interview, it will be very nice, because then the other person will know that yes, this person has got genuine testing experience. Next is PP. I felt so many things: product, practice, passionate, programming. um, I'll start with product. Very important for testers to have product sense. Very important for them to write products. uh, Let's say you are writing a message on WhatsApp. Somebody has sent you, hi, how are you? I would want my keyboard to tell me, I'm good, how are you, thanks, I'm good, thanks for asking, how are you? So this is why, so this is a small product that somebody can build. Probably it is already built, but as testers we need to constantly try to create products in our minds, directly constantly write products. Anything that you find in life, any challenge, any small thing, last thing that you find, you need to think of it on a product way. Okay, how a software would work there, how would a product work there? It's not limited to just a software product, it could be about anything. Even if screwdriver was invented, right, how did the screwdriver got invented? So similarly, very important for testers to be able to write products. Yes, you may not be able to write a product as nicely as a product person can, but that's not what we want, right? We want to be, we want to cross that threshold where we are able to write the product to a certain extent, because that will give us a giant window into our audience set. What do the audience want? How do I serve them? Will my product be able to fill the gap that it is developed in? Are we going on the right development path? Are we deviating from where the product should have gone? So 100%, 100% very important for us to create, have a product thinking. That's what we look for in people as well. when we ask people, this is a challenge that I'm facing. What could be the issue? What could be a solution? So if you have been, so this could be a practice for you also. You see traffic is a big problem in Bangalore. Go back home, try to write a product for traffic management. 100%, you may not be able to write an efficient, perfect product, but it will be a start. So any problem that you see air pollution. So write a product how to capture data points probably. So you do so much of testing. You have done somebody who's not on mute. So yeah, so try to write products, and when we talk to people in interviews, we tend to look at their product since, which is very important because when you are testing, uh, I would want to make sure that you can think beyond the requirement, think beyond what's written, think for the product. Practice again, testing, pair test sessions. So testers should be doing a lot of pair test sessions. That helps you in practice, and also it's a good learning. If you work with other testers, have a driver person who should drive the discussion, learn from them. You know, if you do pair test sessions with 10 testers, you will learn 10 ways of testing, because every tester will have tested in a different way the same website. Even if it's just the Flipkart homepage, do a pair test session with 10 different testers. Not just testers, you can have developers as well, you can have product people as well in your product. If you're doing pair sessions with your product person, you will get so much, you know uh, understanding of what the product person wants from your product. uh, that would be a great exercise. So we also tend to look for people who are doing practice regularly, who are passionate for testing. 100%, there's no need to talk about it. Programming is, you need not be a great programmer, uh, but when we hire for people, we would want to make sure that they have some programming sense. They're not blind to code. uh, you should be able to write simple code. You should know how GitHub works. You should know how to push, pull, delete, update whatever there is. You should be aware of some part of programming, some simple code. How does or how normally how a code editor works, how to run programs. So how to set up a server in your system, how to write a small easy code. So that will actually help in other places when you are thinking from the product side. We don't want to, it's not possible first of all. And in Moolya, when we hire people, we don't make programming a compulsory thing. It is, so when we have a functional, we want to have amazing functional people. When we hire for automation, we want to have amazing automation people. But it's always good to have some sense of programming, not being blind to code is something that's good to have. Q is for questioning. 100% cannot stress on this enough. Questioning skill set is very important. Any tester should be able to question. Any product given to him for testing, he should ask, what is the product? Who is the product for? What problem gap will it solve? What competitors there are in the market who are doing the same product? How will our product be different from their product? Not just there, when you are testing a small feature as well, why the feature? How will it help? Uh, even on the team size side as well. How many people are there in our teams? Which person is doing what? How many developers? How many UI? How many backend? Who's working on this? Who's working on that? Questioning is very important. That, see, for a tester, it is very important to collect information. Making a decision on that information depends upon the product person. So he will decide whether that change has to happen or not. But it is very important for us to give him the adequate amount of information he needs. For that, we need to ask questions. We cannot collect information without asking questions. So questioning is very important, very important. You might have your grooming sessions. So even when we interview people, we see if somebody is not questioning, it is not worth it. So we want people who can question, collect information. Um, Go to research and readability. So yeah, uh, continuous research, continue learning. S is for susceptibility and seriousness. How susceptible are you towards change, towards new things? Because when we are testing, we're testing different things different day. Every day we're doing a new thing. For example, in development, somebody is a Java developer. He's writing Java again, again, again. So probably building the same web pages, we're building the same APIs. But when you're testing everything. Every day is a different thing that you're doing. So there would be different changes, team changes, project changes, product changes. So susceptibility towards changes, the degree of change that you can absorb. T is for tech understanding and testability. So tech understanding is, if I'm talking to somebody, I would want him to know how a laptop works, uh, what is an operating system, what is it based on, what is a RAM, what is registers, how's the memory moving from one place to another. So that tech understanding, and not just that, on the internet side as well, what are the different internet technologies, what is DNS, when I click on something on the UI, what happens in the backend that brings me the result on a different page. So we want people to have the tech understanding. We want people to know exactly what's happening behind the screen that is making things available on screen. If a web page is getting loaded on my screen, my testers should be able to tell me, talk to me about HTML. They should be able to talk to me about Bootstrap. They should be able to talk to me about CSS. They should be able to talk to me about different elements that are being called on the screen. They should be able to talk about APIs that are being pushed. They should be able to talk about DB. They should be able to talk about images that are getting shown on the screen, resolutions of the images, videos, if any video is there, pixels. So they should know what's happening on the background that's making the front end work. They should, so when we click on a button, when we click on submit, what exactly is happening on the back end? What API is going? What details will it take with it? What parameters are needed? How is it authorized? How is it authenticated? So that sort of tech understanding a person should have. Only then he will be able to collect enough information. So you need to build a base. If I don't know A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, I'll not be able to build words. I'll not be able to build sentences, right? So similarly, we need to have the base ready so as to be able to, work on top of them. So that's tech understanding and testability. So testability is something that's least talked about in the space of testing. If you are in the space of testing, you should talk about testability with your product people. Just give me 1 second. I'll drink some water. So yeah, testability is, for example, you guys are building a product. Your team is building a product. At the time of architecture discussion, at the time of initial product discussion, you need to tell them, okay, what are we doing to make sure that the testing of this application is easier? So are we building APIs? What type of APIs are they? How easy will it be to test it? If we are building, so we would want to check for accessibility. What are the different testable inputs that we should include as part of development, that it could then tomorrow help us in testing better? So that's what is testability. Discussion on how easy will it be to test our applications. And for that, in order to reach that stage, what all things should we start as part of product development itself? A lot of times you will see that, let's say you were given a feature and you were asked to test a negative scenario for it. I mean, you were asked to, say, okay, this is the error message shown when this service fails, or this microservice fails, or this something else fails. But there's no way for you to create a fail instance of that service. And so you cannot test it. So the testability of that particular test is zero. You cannot test that. So you need to find out what areas could, what things that you could put in place that could help make your testability better. So this is also something, if somebody talks to me about testability, I would want to know more about it. I would want to know, okay, whether actual discussions have happened with the customers or not. So we would like to have somebody like that. U is usability and user base. Testers should know about how usable their application is. Usability is how usable. User base is the base, the people, the audience, the expected audience that will be using my application. So I would want testers to speak about them. So if you take care of these areas, and then tomorrow you give interview at any other company, it will help you a lot. You can talk about these things, and it's not just about talking these things to get a job. It is about actually implementing it as part of your testing, so that you could become better testers tomorrow. It's not that the first job that you will have after this discussion, that will be your last job, not right. You would want to have many other jobs. You would want to do many other things. You would want to earn much better. And for that to happen, you will need to implement these and be able to constantly make yourself better. V is voracious. W is work-life balance. X is something that I could not find. So that's why I said A to Z minus X of a tester. Y is it has to be tested. It had to be tested yesterday. So in a lot of your discussions, you will see that uh, whatever you were working on, it should have been completed yesterday. That's how the leadership. That's how the industry works. Um, we don't tend. So a lot of companies don't tend to give testing the same importance. They try to their thought process is we'll develop something and then testing will happen, right? So for them, it when it reaches to the testing time, when it actually reaches there, they would want it to have been done yesterday itself. So you'll never have enough time to do it. So in those times, you need to prioritize. So we would want to talk to people who can prioritize better. Out of these things, what's needed first? I have only half an hour to do it. What do you want? What exactly is the most critical? So asking that, getting that information, and then spending more time on those areas is more important. So a lot of times it will come down to that. And Z is zero is a myth. So I would. So this is all the testers. So we interview a lot of testers, and then they say that we have built zero. Somebody is talking. So a lot of times, our testers or our guys who come for interviews say that we have delivered bug-free applications. We have our applications have got no bugs. We have delivered a zero error. So zero error is a myth. Zero bug is a myth. It cannot be possible. It's not possible. So we should avoid talking on those lines. We should avoid saying in our resumes also. We should avoid saying to I've read a lot of headlines in resumes where it says I want to contribute to an organization and make sure that the products we ship are bug free, do not have any bugs, zero bugs. So those are the sort of sentences that we should not write about. uh, that's the awareness that we need to create in other people as well, that it's not possible. If tomorrow 100% there will be bugs. There are still bugs in Gmail. There are still bugs in Facebook. There are bugs everywhere. But that's not an excuse for letting bugs be there. We need to do our work in the best way possible. And then if something is left, it is because the time available. We did the best job in the time available. So zero error is a myth. We should avoid talking about it in interviews. 100% in life and profession, it's not possible. And nothing is perfect. So that's about A to Z of a tester. I hope it added some value, but it has used good amount of time. So what would I do if I were a 1 to 3 years experienced tester in the industry? It actually doesn't just apply to 1 to 3 years. It applies to 4 to 8 years and 8+ years as well. The reason being, obviously, if somebody has spent 4 years in testing, he would not want to go and start on something. But if you have spent 4 years in testing and you're not able to find a job that you like, a job at a place that you would love to work at, that means you don't have enough skill sets. That it means you don't have the right skill sets with you at today. Because if you have the skill sets, you will definitely get the job. Because there are jobs in the space right now. Because of the pandemic, we may see some downfall, but companies cannot do without testers. Companies cannot do without good software testing. And at every experience level, you will have work. There may be a compromise on money because not everybody will be able to pay. So you'll need to find out what skill sets you need to get in order to reach that stage where the sort of payment that you want can be earned. It's at the end of the day, it is about, it's a business between, even if I'm doing a job in a company, it's a business for me. I'm giving my services to the company and the company is paying back to me for it. It's a business. Everything is a business. So you have to find out how much value can you add to a certain company so that they could pay you the certain amount of money that you want. But if I was a 1 to 3 year experienced person, or 1 to 4 years or less than 5 years, what would I do? And I'm not able to find a good job. I would sit in a room and ask myself, do I want to be a software tester? If the answer is no, then I would want to find out what do I want to do. and then work towards that. But if the answer is yes, because this workshop or this webinar is about hiring managers, hiring testers, so if the answer is yes, so I would decide to spend at least 8 hours a day to learn software testing. Right now, it's possible. If you have to put down your paper, go sit home, and then learn, do that. I mean, that's risky, 100%. But one will need to actually. I wrote 8 hours because in my mind I had a timeline of 2 to 3 weeks. So if I have 2 to 3 weeks for learning, then I would want to spend at least these many hours. If the timeline is not 2 to 3 weeks and you have more than that, then obviously these 8 hours can go down depending upon the pro database, right? So next thing is I would read blogs. So testing space has good blogs. You need to find them because I've been in Moolya, so I've had direct access to these blogs. But a lot of times when we talk to testers and we're not happy with them, we tend to give out the names of these blogs because a lot of testers don't know that these blogs exist. But if you would have searched, you would have found. Uh, but that's okay. If I was this person, I would sit in a room, ask myself, do I want to do software testing? I would decide to spend these many hours a day. I would then start reading these blogs. With these blogs, then I would also start writing in my notes the areas that I've read about. It's very important to create note making at that point, because then tomorrow I can go back to those notes before an interview and brush up whatever understanding I already have got. Otherwise, if you just read blogs, move on to the next one, move on to the next one, you'll probably not be able to absorb that much information. So it is very important. Read about it, put it in a note so that it could be used later on. Then I would read these blogs. So if people are looking at it right now, I would suggest you write down tester, develop sense, and satisfies.com. These blogs are very nice. If you go through even one of these blogs, for example, if you go to just Satisfies or just Develop Sense, you'll not need to go through any other blog, any other testing blog as well. So they have so much information. First of all, you'll not be able to go through everything, but even if you want to, they have enough content there. So I would first go through them, write down my topics, the ones that I've gone through, and keep myself updated. Next is I would read books like Lessons Learned in Software Testing and Buddha in Testing. So I think in one of our LinkedIn posts recently, we have talked about different books that people should read. These are actually very good books. Lessons Learned in Software Testing is a very good book. So you should read that book for better software testing understanding. This is, if you read it, you will get a lot of good understanding. So this is written by somebody who was a part of the testing team in the 1960s. I have another chat coming, how to balance between business and programming skills. Sure, I'll come, Arun, I'll talk about it. Give me a few minutes. We'll reach towards the end part of the discussion and then we'll talk about it. We'll do a quick 10 minutes Q&A if needed. There's another chat. Please pardon blog sites. Sorry, didn't understand that. Okay, so these are the blogs that you could read. These are the lessons. These are the books that you could read. I would also subscribe to YouTube channels and Udemy courses from Raghav Pal, Mukesh Otwani, and others. So these guys are putting out content on the automation side. So in Moolya, we don't look for people who know both automation and functional. We look for people who can do very good automation. We look for people who can do very good functional. But even if you're able to do very good functional, in order to get that advantage over so many other testers in the space, you should have a working sense of how code works, how automation works, so that if a company needs your help someday, it should not come from you that I don't know. You should always be able to learn and deliver on those lines. So I would find a mentor, could be online or offline. I would definitely find a mentor person, whether on LinkedIn, because I know there are so many people in the testing space who are ready to be mentors, who are ready to teach other people. So it is just about ask. You need to ask for it so that it could be delivered to you. So find mentors. You could find them in your office space as well. It could be a developer, it could be anybody. I would reach out to testers throughout the world and ask for pair testing sessions. I would reach out to different people online and ask them if I can do a pair test session with them. In India, it doesn't happen as much, but outside India, believe me, there are so many testers who continuously reach out to other testers and do pair test sessions. Pair testing is one of the short way of learning new things in a very small time period. You get a new understanding of how other person would be testing something. So pair test sessions are very important. And then I would start testing applications myself and start creating test reports. So I could download any application from the Play Store, App Store, and I should be able to test them. I should continuously look for test ideas, new ways to crash this application, new ways to bring events on the screen, and then be able to record them. So I should be creating good test reports. If I've been able to create good test reports, I can then share those test reports to my mentors and ask them to punch holes in it. So those mentors then could tell me, okay, this is what you're doing wrong, this is what you're doing right. In that case, then you can use it to deliver better. So you will become good. It's free of cost. Mentors should not charge you anything. I hope so. Not many will. But yeah, so find mentors who will not charge you money. Create test reports, send the test reports to them, ask them to punch holes in your reports. Punch holes is not literally punch holes, but it is more on the lines of what you're not doing right, what you're doing wrong. So then they would probably be able to help you back. See, if you find a mentor in the space of security testing, you'll get more ideas, more test ideas on security side. If you reach out to a mentor who is on the UX side, so you'll get more ideas on how to test UX better. If you reach out to mentors in the performance testing side, you will get more ideas on how to make your website or your application more performance centric, better at performance, better at loading web pages, better at faster uh, change between two screens and all those things. So you can have multiple mentors, and then those guys could help you achieve these things very easily. And then I would work on my reports again, resend them. Once my mentors feel my reports have reached some maturity, I would send them along with my resume to companies. So if we receive profiles along with your test report, I would be very happy to look at it. You'd probably get a priority pass into an interview. And I think that's true for other companies as well. You should write your test reports and send your test reports along with your resume. And then the other company will have a see when I think when developers have a space to create a good website, put it online, put the code on GitHub, and then say, hey, this is my GitHub link. Please review and see if I have an opportunity. Like HackerRank, they can create their accounts there. They can solve problems, and then can reach out to companies saying, this is my account, this is my GitHub link. So this is something which we should also do. We should create multiple test reports. We should have a GitHub account. We should push our reports to GitHub. GitHub is not just for your code. It could be for your test reports. Put your test reports there. Share your GitHub links and ask people to review them. Then I would also make sure that I'm not blind to code as we spoke. So we should not be blind to code. We should be able to understand it. Uh, I should have some understanding of performance testing as well. I should know, APIs. I should know time period it takes for an API. I should know about JMeter, the other tools in the space of performance. I need not have an execution level understanding because I've not got the opportunity to do that. But I should have that learning. I should be able to research about them, write my own notes about them, how to use it. Um, I should be able to find websites that will allow me to do this performance testing there. If there is no website available, so that's a problem statement. I should develop that website and then open it up for other people to learn from it. So there's ton load of things that you can do. I would like to do that. I would like to know about security testing. What is OWASP? What is pen testing? It is not like I I'm applying for security testing position. I'm still applying for functional positions, but having this additional understanding, this will help you a lot. Why not? The interviewers would want to see, okay, this guy can do this guy can do that. He's a jack of all trades. We should be talking to him. You will 100% get an advantage over other guys. I should know how internet works. Very important, very basic, as we spoke about earlier as well, right? I should know how internet works, how an HTTP handshake happens, how my request goes to the server, how does DNS work, um, how does my browser work, how does a website get loaded on my website on my web page, how long does it take for something to be loaded on the screen, So all those things are very important. So having an understanding of how internet works, I should know what happens in the backend when I click on a button on the UI. No doubt. I should know what API testing is, what is Postman, how is it used. Today in Moolya, whenever we hire people, we're not hiring people who can do only UI UX. We want to hire people who can look at APIs as well. We want to hire people who can do deep API testing, who knows what an API is, and not just that an API is an application programming interface. And they should explain it to us in such a way where it makes sense to us, right? Where they should say, okay, it's a pipeline between your front end and the back end. You ask for information, you get information, you send parameters. So they should talk on those lines. They should talk about authentications. They should talk about authorizations. They should not just be limited to get to post, delete, status codes. So those are a few things, on those lines. I should be able to install and run servers on my machine. I should be able to configure a server in AWS. It is not difficult, just that we've not tried it. So we need to go to AWS and try it, and we need to configure those. It's very helpful. I should be aware of Dockers and containers, how Dockers work, what exactly a Docker is, how containers work, how to put, a piece of code there. I should understand mobile. If you're in mobile testing space, or even if you are not, there's most startups in India have their mobile apps. If somebody is developing a mobile app, they would need the mobile app to be tested as well, right? Moolya has tested applications that are being used by more than 100 million people worldwide. So mobile apps are actually, even you guys, right? You use mobile app a regular every day. So it's very important to know about mobile OS, about tools for taking logs, builds, configuring simulators, anything mobile. So when you're testing mobile, it should not just be on the UI side. Oh, I've done this. If I were you, I had an Android device. I would want to open the Android device, not hardware wise, but at least software wise. I would want to boot it. I would want to reboot it. I would want to install things. I would want to go to the root. So I know that will screw up with your phone. You can have a other phone for it. I'd want to see what are the different developer tools available, search for them online, new tools that are being built by, there are so many players who are trying to build tools in the space of mobile apps. So how can those be used? So yeah, that is something that you should be doing. I should understand DB testing. Today, in the space of testing, there's nothing called UI testing. Any functional tester should know API and DB. You may not know deep DB. You may not know deep MySQL commands and everything, but you should have it working knowledge, working understanding. Okay, this is how these commands would work. That way, tomorrow you'll be able to learn if needed. If you're on the job and something comes up, you'll be able to work on it. I've spoken about installing, booting systems. I should be able to write products. I would also want to start a YouTube channel and showcase my learning there. I would want to write blogs and articles. See, these are part of self-marketing. Very important. You should do that. This will help you a lot. If I am testing, if I'm interviewing somebody and he has a YouTube channel, he has written blogs and articles, I would definitely be more impressed. Similarly for any other company as well. I should be aware of my communication skills and constantly work on improving them. So communication skills, as we spoke earlier, very important. I should work on people skills, because in testing and in development, anything that we do in Bangalore, Delhi, everywhere, people come from different parts of the world. People come from different, they differ in religion, they differ in language, they differ in the sort of friends they have, they differ in schools that they've been to, they differ in colleges that they've been part of, they differ in companies that they have come from. So there's a large difference, and we should have enough people skills that we could communicate to them properly and at least not insult them, not be disrespectful to them unknowingly. So a lot of times we do things unknowingly. So I should work on my people skills. We look for people skills a lot when somebody is interviewing in Moolya. I should constantly search for new tools online. I should reach out to startups to provide them pro bono testing services. So if I were a 1 to 3 year, anybody, if I were a tester in the space of, if I was a software tester, any experience range, I would want to reach out to startups and tell them, hey, I saw that you are building this. I'm available for a few days. I could help in testing your application without any cost, without any money. I don't want money, but I want to learn. So that's, I believe, something that we should do. One should do. So that's the extent of what I had